Alright everybody, how's everybody been? Welcome back to Humanity Designs. I haven't shot a video in a while. I'm going to show you guys how to dial your gun in. And you'll know when it's dialed in. A lot of people like to throw a big cloud. Me, I don't want to waste that much powder. And the lower the air pressure, the better your stick is. The less you're going to use, the better your project's going to come out. You're not going to have heavy, big, thick spots and stuff like that. And I'm also going to show you that one of your best things to use is a flashlight, LED, to find any light spots. So they have this thing called cage-darity effect. So when you put a bunch of voltage out, it's like a positive magnet going to a negative magnet. Sticks, perfect, great. But you also know as a kid growing up, you take two magnets and do positive, you get them to push away. You can watch the thing just move. You can take that magnet and just push it away. So that's what you don't want your powder to do. You don't want your rim to come up to such a high positive charge, and when you're trying to put a positive charge to it, it's going to start spitting off. So the best way to defeat that is earth ground. Earth ground is great, but on some of the new higher digital systems, you don't really want to be mixing your earth ground like a bond to your system. You want to make sure your system actually has the ground wire that comes off of it to your piece. And then your rest of your earth ground, you want to make sure it's going out to like a chassis. I got two 8-foot ground rods in the ground with a piece of 8-gauge wire that's separated from this whole metal building. And then when I have it on the hook, I have it on this hook, which technically when you clamp this will be connected. But what you don't want to do is bring it out and bond it to it and have it all together. You actually want to have this as closest to your product as you can. And then if you have any high charge, it'll go to your ground, not back to your system. So what I also found out is a lot of these newer systems, there's a digital board in it, and when you take and squeeze the trigger, it wants to use this as a connection back. So it's a loop, almost like a light bulb. So it wants to know how much voltage you're sticking in, how much voltage you're bringing back. That way it can take the system up and down. So if you accidentally have this thing to your ground and bonded to all this up here, not down here by your part, it might say, okay, your air compressor's running over there, vibrating your building, vibrating to the ground. You might be picking up some voltage for that. Your sandblaster, you know as well as I do, you have static electricity come up your sandblaster all the time. So what you don't want to be having that be mixed and make your system think that that's part of the voltage going on there. Because then it can take your system and go back and forth, and you're not even pulling the trigger. So the best thing to do, make sure it's as closest to your part you can. Your earth ground a lot of times is just to the chassis of your frame or the chassis of something. I like it way above on all my hooks. My hooks are somewhat rusty, so I'm getting some bleed back. But I'm making sure my connection to my rim is perfect. I sandblast it. I make sure everything is good. So with that being said, that's a quick little overview on grounds, but that's also the best way to get your system to dial in perfect. I'm going to go ahead and shoot some here for you and show you. They always say when you're shooting powder, you want to get into the nooks and crannies that are hard to fill first. If you have a big, huge $10,000 Gemma system, or Geem, or whatever the hell it's called, Omniflex, Nordstrom, Wagner, sorry, I don't have 10 grand, 6 grand, 5 grand to spend on that stuff. Can I get there? Yeah. Keep helping my buddies out, keep making a little coin here and there. If I save it all, sure. But for the guys who are going to start out tomorrow, they're going to start out Eastwood. And I don't blame them. It's a good gun. I used it. I even did the Harbor Freight one. Don't like that one so much because it shocked the shit out of me and I hit the ground about pissed my pants. So you gotta be careful. But I put a rubber mat down now, by the way. I also have a big rubber mat. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and pull some trigger time so you guys can see what it's like to get your system dialed in. And that's about all I can show you for today, and hopefully you learned something. If you didn't, sorry. If not, here we go. I'm going to turn my KB the whole way up. I'm using the Cold Coat HD system. I used to use the Hyper Smooth, and I've also used the Cold Coat system as well, 3.0, 2.0, whatever, but I've made it up to this one. I still can't get away from this. You can take this off, and you can still spray out of it, but I can feel my shirt suck in when I do that. I found my best results for dialed in is with this. I love it. It works. And as you can see, watch, I'll lay it on here and it'll stick right to where I'm spraying it. It's not going nowhere else. See that? See how it's actually sticking right to it? I mean, I'm having perfect coverage. And look how much I'm wasting. Look at that big, huge cloud I'm wasting. I'm not. It's mainly 99.9% sticking there. Yes, I'll be wearing a respirator when I get up close and I make my big clouds. And yes, I have a big, loud exhaust system here that will suck anything else out. But I'm not getting no mess. Look at all the waste on the ground. None. So this is what it's like when you get yourself up to a good system. And literally, you can point it right to where you want it. This will make wiping, two-tones, a lot easier. Now I'm going to go ahead and do some of the hard areas. And that's one of the easy areas. So, you ever notice when you actually do these, a lot of times, I got a nice swivel hook up here so I can turn this thing. You get into these cracks and crevices, and this is where it wants to push back a lot. So that's what happens when you get too much positivity on your rim. And you'll actually have this thing called caged area effect, which is like two positive magnets coming together. Now, if your system's set up nice and it's set up real low, you can get away with doing this. I mean, it's filling perfect right inside. And those are all your tough, hard to get areas. Now, right now with my air pressure, when I pull the trigger, it's not even registering. I literally have it on 0. And I use this flashlight so I can see inside. Now, I've already seen something I gotta stop already. I missed a big gouge right here, so I gotta stop. I'm gonna take care of that gouge real quick. But, like I said, this thing here will literally fill these little cracks and crevices in first. Just like that. And it makes it so nice. Because then when you go to put it back on, you can see that all this is covered. And you see how I did have to spray a big cloud. You see how I don't have a bunch of powder. I recommend this system, but it's one of those things you got to play with. You got to learn how to use it. You can't just take this thing out of the box and say, oh, it's easy. No, first layer is going to be KV 100%, UV 100%. Then maybe your second layer, or after you put a lot of powder on this, you want to turn it down and try to get these little high areas. So you just got to kind of tweak it. It's not the $6,000 gun where you just press the buttons on the bag, because these buttons are dummies. But hope you learned something. Like I said, give me a like. That's about all I can say. Cool Coat HD, I recommend for anybody. I also recommend, I have a backup, which is the 3.0. I love it. DPW, you can push the little button, it flexes back and forth. I'll go ahead and zoom in real quick to show you the actual system, so in case you're interested. But I have one rim done here. I'll pull the camera down, show you the rim, how well covered. I also have one that's baked out. It's nice and glossy. I'll show you that real quick. But like I said, I really like the system. I really like the cup. I can actually get 2 rims out of a cup. That's 1/4 and 1/4 of a pound. So you can literally do 4 rims with 1 pound. Everybody says you can't. I'm proving it you can. And my stuff's coming out nice, it's coming out glossy. But like I said, the biggest thing is get this thing dialed in. Once you get it dialed in, you'll love it. Just try to throw 1,000 knobs and want it to do itself, it's not going to do it. Like I said, thanks for watching. Sorry if I blind you with my LED here. I'm going to go ahead and pull the camera down real quick, and I'm going to do a close zoom in. You can see how well covered. I'm going to show you the rim is covered, and I'm going to show you a blacked out one. Thanks for watching. So, like I said, see how well covered? It's a little light in here, but you can come back. The big thing is don't try to push it in there either. But you can see these cracks and crevices. See how well covered in there? And that's only as a second. That's not even working it in yet. So, like I said, this is the system I'm using. Cool Coat HD. And like I said, these knobs here, I like to go full blast with the wide mouth nozzle. And then once I get it on a little thicker, I kind of come back to here. And then if I have to do a second coat after I do it, like a clear coat or something, I usually do about there. That's with the wide mouth setting. They have the fan settings and they have all that other stuff, and you can use different things. Now, the rinse, this is really nice. This is a second hose that hooks up to the bottom of your gun, which keeps air fluffing in here so you don't get that build up in that clump and the clump and the clump. Where your older systems, you don't have the extra barb in the end of the nozzle, which doesn't allow you to mix the nozzle. So every once in a while with those systems, you'll spray and spray and spray and you have to dump it and just kind of keep dumping it so you don't get those high spots. Really suggest this. Really love this one. And like I said, once you get it dialed in, it's pretty good. Here's one that's covered. My shop isn't nothing fancy. I am not a professional. I do this just to help people out. I'm not trying to cut the big guy out in costs. I'm just trying to help car guys who don't have a lot of money. Yeah, like I said, I got a little pellet stove. I ain't got nothing major. And this is what they're coming out looking like. And as you can see, they are shiny and they are good and covered. So that's my suggestion for y'all. If you like it, use it. If you don't, don't. Thanks for watching Main Designs. Hope you all have a good day. That's a good thing about grounds too.